Alright, 361 Degrees must be trying to take everyone's year-end bonus by dropping 6 new shoes at once. Those of you who saw last year's 4 mix video know that the mix line is inspired by shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Both use each brand's second-tier foam and swap out pure carbon plate for a blend plate, making them more versatile, accessible to more runners, and more affordable. Today, let's see what's new with the 5 mix and how it stacks up against the similarly positioned big brand models. I started this channel to review Chinese running products. More importantly, it's my way of forcing myself to practice spoken English. I'm self-sponsored and money doesn't grow on trees. Whether good or bad, I'm going to give you my honest review without filtering. Let's dive in from the specs. Officially, it's listed as 28mm in the forefoot and 35mm in the heel. On foot, it's very different from these numbers. I think they might exclude the insole. I did a left-right A/B test with the Adidas Boston 13, but it was impossible to run in. It felt like someone had just snapped my Boston side leg. That leg felt shorter. Adidas usually includes the insole in their measurements, and the Boston has a 36mm heel. So I believe the actual stack height of the 5 mix including the insole is closer to 39mm heel and 32mm up front. Visually, the midsole has no sandwich seam. It's a seamless foam construction. The whole thing is molded as one single piece, using what's called one-piece foam molding. I found a clip showing how it's made. They first position the plate inside the mold using locator pins, then inject the foam material around it. It's a one-piece supercritical integral forming process, eliminating glue lines and improving energy return. Since no glue is needed to bond the plate and the foam, it saves a bit of weight and allows more natural flex when your foot bends. That's exactly where the Xtep one-piece series naming comes from. My size 45 weighs 272 grams, which is about 20 grams heavier than the 4 mix, mainly due to the 3mm thicker midsole. On sizing, the 5 mix runs slightly long, about half a size longer than the 4 mix, not quite a full size. I fixed it by swapping a thicker insole from another shoe. For guys with narrow feet, you might consider going half down a size. Runners with wider feet should stick to your usual size. After covering sizing, let's look at the detailed change between the 5 mix and the 4 mix. The most noticeable visual difference is the winged carbon blend plate, which adds a bit of stability in that area. As mentioned, the official midsole is 3mm thicker than the 4 mix, and that's how it feels on foot. There are some sidewalls of foam at the back of the shoe for added stability. The tongue has less padding, and there is noticeably less padding around the heel, but no risk of rubbing. The upper material is the same as the 4 mix, but the weave is different. The 5 mix is more breathable. All of that makes it feel more like a tempo or faster shoe in terms of the upper. The toe box has a huge amount of clearance across the top, even after swapping in a thicker insole. I never felt any pressure on my toes. From this angle, you can see I have to cinch the laces tighter, causing the upper to bulge a bit. So the toe box is not just taller, but also wider than the 4 mix. From here, you can also see the 5 mix has a somewhat foot-shaped toe box. I think it's definitely friendly to those with wider feet. For someone with average to narrow foot like me, I've got no trouble here with a really good solid lockdown across the midfoot. The heel still has a stiff counter. The stiffness feels the same as the Formix when pinched. You've got a CPU rubber covering most of the forefoot and the heel, and after 45 kilometers, it looks durable. So everything feels very dialed in. With that out of the way, let's talk about the pros and cons of actually running in it. In the Formix video, I mentioned that the forefoot was almost impossible for my weight to compress. It's on the stiff side for me. I've always recommended it to heel strikers and runners heavier than me. When it comes to 5 mix, I was hoping that would kind of ease off. Hoping it would soften up a little bit. Not too much, but just enough to make it a little bit more comfortable to run in. That has definitely happened, and it's improved my experience. The extra stack, the big stack plated midsole, deliver plenty of protection, some bounce, some spring resilience, and energy. Especially in the forefoot, I can now compress it, get some cushioning, and get some energy back as it decompresses. I'd also say, for a big stack trainer like this, it's pretty stable. Thanks to its wider base, even with my slightly flat left foot, it performed great. The platform is actually as wide as most max cushion shoes, not just in the forefoot, but also in the midfoot. I do think it's lost some nimbleness. I think, yes, there is some bounce, there is some responsiveness, there is some snap. But I think in terms of bringing those things together, I don't think it always works in the most effective way. It feels a bit bulky or a bit overbuilt for those tempo interval runs, those faster efforts. Kind of lost a bit of that edge compared to the Formix. It might work a bit better for short of regular daily and long mileage. That said, for heel strikers, the ride is still fluid from heel to toe. I usually run before work. Lately, mornings are freezing. The foam seems super temperature sensitive. Right after getting out of the car, the shoes are still at the room's temperature. First kilometer feels soft and compressible, but then it gradually stiffens up. It's like I'm back in the Formix. Forefoot won't compress. No deformation underfoot. This lasts until about kilometer 5, when my foot heat finally warms the foam enough to restore some liveliness. Also, there is a slight irritation at the flex point on my left foot, but not on the right. I'm not sure if it's just my pair. Aside from that and the cold weather stiffness, no other issue to report. I think for more efficient runners, it can handle your relaxed daily training runs, easy long runs, that kind of thing. For less experienced runners, you've got a pretty wide base here, nice rocker, the balance of foams. It could really fill in for a plated shoe when it comes to your training and even racing. Before wrapping up this video, I want to compare it to some more well-known shoes to help you better understand the Flame 5 Mix from a ride characteristic standpoint. Starting with the shoe weight. It sits between the Adidas Boston 13 and the Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. Considering its actual midsole stack height is higher than both, its weight remains quite competitive. In terms of softness, the 5 Mix is the softest, the Boston 13 is the firmest, and the 5 Mix feels closer to Endorphin Speed 5. The 5 Mix has a softer forefoot, while I'd say the heel feels fairly similar between them. Performance-wise, the Endorphin Speed 5 is a lower profile tempo shoe, so you haven't got so much stack underneath. It's not quite as comfortable under the forefoot for long runs compared to the 5 Mix, but takes over really nicely. Very speedy shoe. The 5 Mix is probably a better option for steady runs in particular, while the Endorphin Speed 5 feels a bit nippier and speedier for interval runs, that kind of effort. Last year's 4 Mix and the Boston 12 were somewhat comparable. They shared similarities, like being suitable for faster-paced runs. But this year's 5 Mix and the Boston 13 feels like they've walked away from each other in opposite directions. The Boston 13 has become faster. It delivers a really faster ride, but it's more of a speed-focused or even speed-only shoe. The EVA layer at the bottom adds stability, but also makes the top Lightstrike Pro foam feel somewhat lifeless. I think it lacks a bit of in ride feel in terms of that bounce, enjoyment. If we zoom in on the Boston 13 midsole foam structure from lateral side, the forefoot to midfoot looks like it's all Lightstrike Pro foam, right? But turn to the medial side, you will see the EVA actually starts from the forefoot and covering nearly the whole shoe. Only the outer edge is Lightstrike Pro foam, just from here to here. A lot of you guys are running shoe geeks. I'm sure, even without me describing the ride, you can probably guess how it feels, even with Lightstrike Pro foam on board. But don't love the feel of it myself. I found it a little bit blocky, a little bit wooden. My bigger, taller audience who normally blast through some of the softer foams, you will probably find the Boston 13 to be a reliable workhorse. The 5 Mix, it strikes a kind of balance of between spring and energy with cushion, and is easy to get comfortable in compared to the Boston 13. But that wider base is a trade-off. You gain stability while losing some agility, nimbleness, and versatility for faster sessions. However, when it comes to maintaining pace over long distance, that's where the ride feels more performance-oriented. Hence why I think it could be a good option for marathon race day, for those who don't want to risk a more razor-edge super shoe that might leave you out. So yeah, I think it's definitely a strong option to consider on the market. Okay, that's all I wanted to share with you today. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this shoe or tips for improving English speaking. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll be bringing you more on Chinese running products. Follow if you are interested, and hope you have a good one.